'Tis Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, 7 p.m. I will call the city council meeting to order. Clerk Everett, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Huckabee.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Lesko here.
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Jago.
Here. Thank you. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everybody to please stand. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 4, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed items 4A through 4B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item 6, public comment for matters on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. The comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon: name, address, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments unless it's also on the agenda. Anyone following on Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and those on the call must remain muted unless recognized to speak. Tonight, we don't have anyone signed up for this portion of public comment. I don't believe. Right? You weren't signed up for this portion, John? Okay. All right. Didn't think so. Anyone on the Zoom? Second call for anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, we will close and move on. Item 7, petitions, requests, and communications. Tonight we have none. Item 8, resolutions and ordinances. 8A is review and possible action relating to a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $7 million in general obligation promissory notes. City Manager Hausman.
Thank you. Justin Fisher, our financial advisor from Baird, is here to present the packet of information. I also have it pulled up on the screen here, so I will share it as he goes through it. There's a memo in your packet about this matter. I'm certainly open. Justin and I both could answer questions after his presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you. Happy holidays. So what I'm going to go through tonight is really, we started this a couple of years ago, several years ago, where it was looking at trying to condense and consolidate borrowing so we do it every other year and be on a more strategic long-term plan. That started in 2022. We then did the financing in 2024 for the different building and capital related projects. And now we're to the point where I've been working with Michelle and Rebecca on evaluating the different capital items related to 2026 and 2027. At the same point, this financing package is going to be refinancing some of the note anticipation notes that were done related to tax increment district number 9 back in 2024. So that's kind of to the point where we are today. So that was always the plan, 2024, get that tax increment district up and running. Wait for revenue to start being generated within that tax increment district, and then have a better sense of what the cash flow is going to look like before we restructure it into longer term financing. So what I'll go through tonight is the financing summary and timeline. We'll go through that TID number 9 pro forma. We'll go through the long-term CIP financing illustration and finish off with the general obligation borrowing capacity and city policy. So if we go to page 1 in that packet, that you have in front of you. The financing is going to be a general obligation promissory note. So general obligation debt is your most secure type financing. It's an unlimited tax levy. Ultimately, when you go out and finance projects under the general obligation authority, you're going to receive the lowest interest rates because of the unlimited taxing authority tied to it. The estimated size for this financing is going to be $6,915,000. The parameters, as you see, is $7 million. It's a little bit of a cushion because of the refinancing. There's accrued interest tied to that no anticipation note from 2024, just to give us a little cushion in case, for whatever reason, the market turns away from us between now and the time we go out. It gives us some additional time, and I'll probably want to get in front of you if something goes sideways between now and early next year with, in case, some news comes with tariff or something happens like we saw in April of 2025, where interest rates for about a month shot way up dramatically and then since have come down pretty dramatically. So, it's a dynamic market and it constantly changes every day. So the purpose of this is to refinance those 24 notes like we talked about for the amount of about $3,510,000. And then there's different capital improvement projects that you've seen in your budget time and so forth in the amount of $3,405,000. Part of that $3,405,000 is made up of levy supported projects. You think of your cap or your equipment, you think of roads, that type of stuff. That is covered under the levy supported portion, the city portion of the projects. And then there's a water portion, a smaller amount of $500,000. So again, consolidating everything into one financing. The structure of this matures February 1, 2028 to 2046. And as you'll see on the following page, there's different amortizations broken out between the overall financing that I send to Michelle and she utilizes. So it's not all the debt is amortized through 2046, which I'll show you on the following pages. First interest being February 1, 2027. So again, the financing would occur in 2026. First interest payment the following year to put on the tax levy would be in 2027. Callable February 1, 2034 or any date thereafter. So that's when we can take a look at refinancing or paying off. That's something that we always take a look at every time we're going through this and all the time is if there's opportunities to refinance for debt service savings. Think about 2020, 2021. That was a time where we included some debt and refinanced that because of the low interest rate market at that particular time. At this particular time, your outstanding debt that you have on the books is not economical to refinance at this point because your rates are good out there. The estimated interest rate, 4.5%, not to exceed a parameter of 7 million and a not to exceed parameter of 5%. Now, this is all pretty conservative, but again, not jumping into the market here for a little over a month. A lot can change. And like I said, if something does dramatically change where it gets closer to that, 4.5% to 5%, I probably want to get in front of you and let you know what's going on in the bond market. The numbers that we're using are conservative for planning purposes because we'd rather be conservative in our planning and then hopefully receive a better interest rate when we go out to the bond market. So City Council would consider the plan of finance and parameters resolution tonight. All authority for the sign off of the sales within the parameters delegated city manager or city clerk treasurer finance director. So same process as what we've used in the past. The preparations are made for the issuance. So the official statement, that's something that our team is working with Michelle and Rebecca on, and it's basically consolidating a bunch of information about the city. Think of financial information, demographic, fund balance, all that type of stuff that put in a document and sent out to potential buyers of these municipal bonds. We're going to go through the bond rating process. So that's where myself, Rebecca, and Michelle will participate on a call with Standard & Poor's, and they will ask us a bunch of questions. They're going to dive through the audits, ask about the taxing room districts, and then ultimately assign a bond credit rating to the city. The city has a AA- minus bond credit rating right now, which is a very strong bond credit rating, and I don't anticipate any change with that after this financing. If the market is strong and meet the council parameters, we're looking to jump into the market potentially the week of January 21st, and then closing would occur on February 23rd of 2026. So you can see that there's quite a few steps in this process, and that's why we're starting it tonight. because then as we go into next year, that's when we're getting everything finalized and ready to potentially jump into the market early January or end of January. So if we go to page 3 of the presentation, there's a lot of numbers on this page. And what I'll do is I'll break it down from the left side to the right side for you. So this is really the tax increment district number 9 pro forma. On the left side of the page, that's the projected revenues on an annual basis. So 2025 through 2044, which is when the life of the district is. The middle of the page, that's the refinance or restructuring of the short-term construction note related to the infrastructure related to tax increment district number 9. So as you can see, we're basically trying to make sure that the cash flows are around after looking at the revenues. You take your debt service, you've got some other capital expenditures in there, and then you got your combined expenditures in that column F. What that leaves is that column G. That's your estimated available after debt service and other expenditures. And you can see that we're targeting positive cash flows on an annual basis year over year. Ideally targeting at least around that, getting up to that like $100,000 mark in case something happens unforeseen. So that's what the overall structure is trying to accomplish for this financing. So on the far right side of the page, the column H, that's your year-end cumulative balance. So based on the projected revenues, the middle of the page, and the other expenditures that are in there, you can see how the cumulative balance slowly grows potentially over time, assuming no other unforeseens and the projections hit, that it will get up to close to about $2 million plus by the end of the life of the TID. Now, again, a lot can happen. Tax rates, new development could make this look better. If development doesn't, occur and so forth, things could look worse. But this is ultimately what we're trying to model out and give our best projection based on the information provided. So that's kind of the overall long-term plan related to tax increment district number 9. We go to page 4, the next one. This is the long-term capital improvement financing plan for the city. So this is something that you've seen in the past that ultimately gets updated every other year, and presented to you for consideration. So again, left side of the page, this is all your levy supported debt service. So city supported does not include, the water, does not include tax increment district debt or anything like that. This is strictly city supported debt. You can see that 2026 is around $2.1 million, and by 2044, it's completely, that's would be your last payment. That's what's on the books. And a lot of that is tied to the building projects that were done a couple of years ago and just finished up not too long ago. So the middle of the page, this is the new money financing, the $3,405,000. As you can see, it's broken up just right of that into different components. So we've got different equipment type projects and useful life projects that have useful life of 10 years or less. We don't want to amortize that over 20 years if it's got a useful life of less than 20 years. So that's why we're structuring part of the projects over a 10-year period. Then we've got 20-year type financing for the longer useful life capital projects in the list, and then the water supported projects over the 20 years as well. When you go to the right of that, you can see how the combined debt service factoring in the existing plus the financing that we're talking about tonight may look from a debt service perspective. So the mill rate, $1.39 per debt service, then it goes to $1.46 and to $1.52, and then you can see it slowly starts dropping year over year as you continue to pay down debt and as you grow over time. The right side, that's more hypothetical. That's what we're doing is we're modeling in approximately $3 million every other year for capital improvement projects, city supported. So similar to this was $3,405,000, which about 505 of that was tied to the water utility. We're assuming about $3 million every other year for city related projects. So pretty consistent with what we're showing you tonight. That's what that hypothetical future CIP debt service is. So it's stacking on top. year over year as you're paying down existing debt, because the goal here is to pay down debt while being able to continue to fund investments for the city. You can see on the far right side then where we're eventually start to level off, which is in that 2031 timeframe where it kind of gets up to about 2.85 million and then stays there thereafter, assuming the $3 million every other year kind of forever. So that's just kind of to show you that we're doing that long-term planning. We're modeling out to see how things look. Now that'll be up to future boards and councils to decide, you know, if $3 million is the right amount, but that's ultimately what we've modeled in at this particular point in time and where we'll level off. The last page, page 5, this shows the hypothetical future general obligation debt capacity. So municipalities are allowed to borrow up to 5% of your equalized valuation per state statute. The valuation for the city has grown pretty tremendously over the last, 5 to 10 years, to the point where now your valuation is over $1.5 billion. Wasn't too long ago, I was talking to you guys about under $1 billion, and now you're, at over a 1.5 billion. And so with this model, what we're showing here is 2% growth to that valuation every year thereafter. You've been growing much faster than 2%, but again, trying to be conservative in the projection and how things may look, assuming we model in the existing outstanding debt for the city, the financing we're talking about tonight, and then the $3 million every other year going forward. So in 2 years, you'll see me again kind of talking about a potential financing based on, if you have capital needs or not. But that models everything in to see what the picture may look like. So what we have in here is the city has a policy not to exceed 60% of the state statute, so more restrictive than what the state allows you to borrow. So we wanted to see what that looks like per the policy of the city. So when you're looking at these gray bars there, that's the amount of available capacity per state statute. So you've got about $45 million in available capacity per state statute. Because you restrict it down to 60%, that puts you closer to that 29% remaining capacity. So you still got a pretty good amount of capacity per your more restrictive policy, which is about $14 million at the end of 2026. And then it would go to about $17 million in 2027. So you still got really strong capacity in case something unforeseen happens, which hopefully is not the case, but you never know. There could be something unique that the council wants to move forward with. You've got the capacity within your policy to do that, which gives me comfort that we're still managing everything very, very well, and the city's doing very well keeping the finances in order. So this was great to see, and honestly, using the 2% growth, that's like I said, pretty conservative because the city is growing much faster than that. But who knows what happens in the future with the economy. Questions?
So our city's internal policy of not exceeding 60% of what the state would allow, it works obviously to our advantage in terms of like when you're going out seeking this. Is there some point where like it works to your disadvantage?
That is a great question, because the more restrictive you get, it can deter people to say, well, what if something happens that they won't be able to borrow per their city policy? 60% is not abnormal within the state of Wisconsin. I would say that, that is, we typically see anything from 70 to 75, 60, 65 is pretty common, like those type of policies, if you're going to be more restrictive than the state policy. But yeah, there are situations, especially if you get very close to that policy, that does become almost prohibitive, especially from the rating agencies.
And then one other question, I think you said we are at a AA-
Correct.
bond rating right now. Can never remember where that falls in terms of like what is the highest level?
So the AAA is the highest level, and then there's the AA+, the AA, and then double A minus. So you're considered in the high grade category, which is good.
And then what would be at the bottom of that rating? How
Like,
how low
you
does
can
it
go all the
go?
way down to, triple B is where you really, that's pretty rare for Wisconsin communities
Yeah.
to be that low. But you wouldn't get a bond rating because it wouldn't be economical to go through that process. Because you have such a good bond credit rating, you get much better interest rates when you go out to the market because of it.
And that's been pretty steady for our community in,
Yeah, so the city actually was closer to an A plus. You were an A plus many years ago, and you were upgraded within the last, I want to say, 10 years to the double A minus rating because of the financials.
thanks.
Yep.
So in terms of like individuals seeking, we'd be like somewhere in the 800 credit score if you were talking like an individual borrowing. stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, probably that 750 to 800 type, very strong, again, considered, high credit quality.
So you mentioned half of the 7 million, and about half would be used to refinance. If this is going to be at approximately what, a 4.5%, 4.5% interest rate, what is the rate that we would be paying off through that refinancing?
So the rate on that 2024 NAN is a 5% rate. And so that will likely go much lower. And that's a short term. So that is going to be maturing by the end of 2024, or I mean 2026. So we want to be able to restructure this into this financing for efficiency purposes, and we're going to get a better interest rate likely by going out longer.
All right, thank you.
So just to clarify, we would have had to refinance that debt by the end of 2026. So doing it at the beginning of 2026 creates some economies of scale with this other debt. We would have had to have done that refinance anyway. And on its own, it would have been more expensive to do. So it's a little early, but it makes more sense to do
We
it
put the
at one
call
time.
feature in when we did the 2024 financing, we put the prepayment feature at February 1, 2026 on purpose, knowing that this was kind of the long-term plan.
I just like bear with me, like new articles or whatnot. When you see that $7 million, kind of difficult to stomach. But when you realize that we're taking half of that and paying off debt, in essence, this is about a $3.5 million increase,
Of new
not
addition.
of new total debt, not seven.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
Staff does recommend that the city council adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing the parameters for the sale of not to exceed $7 million in general obligation promissory notes.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can you, Justin, refresh my memory, the difference between a note anticipation note and a promissory note?
Yeah, so a note anticipation note, think of it as like a construction note when you don't know what you want the long-term financing structure to look like. Because what if, we didn't know what the cash flow of that tax increment district number 9 was going to be, because in 2024, that was when it was newly created. So now that we've got some revenues in there, that gives us a little bit more comfort to now take it out longer term. Because the worst thing is you had no revenues, you take out this debt long term and you can't pay it off for 10 years or 8 years because of the call feature.
Anything further? A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Item 9, reports of officers, boards, and committees. 9A is the city manager's report. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. At the November 18th City Council meeting, the council adopted the 2026 budget and 2026 through 2031 CIP, along with the resolution moving the charges for garbage and recycling collection to the property tax bill as a special charge. City staff is currently gathering all the documents necessary to stuff and mail our property tax bills, with the goal of putting them in the mail on Friday, December 12th. Unfortunately, the leaves decided not to fall until later into their season this year, and the snow decided to fall early in its season. So the city's policy for curbside leaf collection is to continue until snow accumulation makes collection infeasible. And the storm last weekend has made leaf collection impossible. So staff will no longer be collecting leaves. We have heard some feedback from residents who are disappointed with the weather. I will just remind everyone that the city staff does not control the weather. We simply react to it. And the compost site is open through Saturday, December 6th, and will reopen on April 4th, 2026. Monday, December 1st was National Snowplow Operator Appreciation Day. Thank you to our Public Works Operations and Parks Operations staff who have been working diligently to clear the snow and ice from our roads and public parking lots so that everyone else can continue with life as usual. Remember that winter parking regulations are in effect between December 1st and March 15th. Park on the even side of the street on even days and the odd side of the street on odd days. John's Disposal will start garbage and recycling service in the city on January 1st, 2026. Residents will receive calendars and route maps in their tax bills and attached to their new containers when they are delivered later this month. For more information, please visit the city's website. Tomorrow, the City Council will hold a workshop relating to the Koshkonong Estates subdivision at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. The workshop will provide an opportunity for the council to review a recent report from consultants relating to the wetlands, groundwater, and surface water in that area. On Friday, December 5th, Jefferson County is hosting a legislative breakfast at 7 a.m. in the county boardroom. There'll be a short program along with federal, state, and local legislative updates. Council President Jekyll and I are registered to attend that event on behalf of the city. There is still time to donate to the Jefferson County Christmas Neighbors Drive now through December 8th. They're accepting new toys, rolls of wrapping paper, scotch tape, new blankets, and children's scarves. Please reach out to the Christmas Neighbors program if you would like to donate or volunteer. The Horde Historical Museum is currently hosting its annual holiday open house from now until Saturday, December 20th. In previous years, the event was just one day, but now it's been extended to 3 weeks to allow more people the opportunity to visit. The museum's gingerbread house contest and vintage Christmas decorations are all still part of the event, plus a few new surprises. And finally, the holiday light display, Magic on Janesville Avenue, will take place on Friday from 4 to 6:30 on the bike path in front of Jones Dairy Farm. The holiday parade is from 4:30 to 6 on Sunday, and there are all sorts of events downtown on Saturday, including a winter farmers market, horse-drawn wagon rides, and a shop hop. So it will be a weekend full of holiday cheer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 10, unfinished business. Tonight, there's none. Item 11, new business. 11A is review and possible action relating to the purchase of DS 300 ballot tabulators for the elections. Clerk Everett.
Thank you. So currently in City Fort Atkinson, we use machines called DS200. So on election day, you would see this where you would put your ballot into the machine. It looks like a large recycling bin. I guarantee you it's not. And it has the computer up top. So the computer up top is essentially the piece that we will be replacing. The current DS200s were purchased by Jefferson County at least 12 years ago. I could not find the exact date. They've been integral in running in our elections, and they've been fantastic. They've worked very well. We have not had any issues with them. The software and the firmware get updated regularly. However, anticipation of end of life, at some point, you never want to be without proper running tabulators. Jefferson County reached out to our municipal provider for the machines, election software and election systems and software. We call them ES&S. I don't normally read their whole name. They did go through very vigorous referrals and checks with them to get them administered and processed through the U.S. Elections Assistance Commission, EAC. Again, we usually use the acronym. So these machines have been vetted and approved, and they're ready to be delivered to us. Jefferson County did notify us earlier this year that we were looking into the new machines, so it allowed us time to budget appropriately. They offered payments within the year of 2025 or the year of 2026. So ironically, it worked well as we were looking to do some election improvements in 2026 budget. I was looking to purchase an additional DS200 just to allow 4 machines on certain elections. With the new DS300s, we did have some demos that we were able to look and see the machines, and it was pretty fantastic. Aside from a few additional security features. They just enhanced and had more features allowing, additional places to enter passwords, more places that are under lock and key. So just as safe and secure as they have been with a few improvements. The reason that we're not getting a fourth one is just the added speeds for processing these. So if we were to pull in a machine, plug it in and set it up, it would probably take 3 to 3.5 minutes till it's ready to process a ballot. In this case, it's about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Once the ballot goes into the machine, at that time on election day, the ballot is not tabulating the vote, the ballot. It is just, the machine is taking picture of the ballot. Okay, so at that time it takes a picture, especially if it's got front and back, it takes a little bit extra. The ballot falls into the box. Once we're done with the elections, the end of the day, the polls close, we put in a few passwords, press the button to close the polls, and at that time, the machine is actually tabulating each ballot. So you can imagine if there's 2,500 ballots in a machine, it could take anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes at the end of the night before we have the results that are printing from the machine. This process is faster, so now it could be 10 to 15 minutes, and then once that process is done, that's when the results are submitted to the county. So on election night, it could be anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes until the results are processed over. So all of these steps are going to be sped up a little bit just because everyone wants their results sooner, but that's also technology. So we're really excited for that. I don't have a great picture that's included with the memo, but as you can see, it looks very similar. The gray portion of the top of the computer section it's gray now, and you can see the picture, it's kind of more of an off-white. So we did budget in 2026 and the CIP included $25,000 for election equipment upgrade and materials and supplies. That was approved by the council at the November 19th meeting. The Jefferson County will pay 50% of the machines for everyone, which is fantastic and very appreciative. So that balances up to $3,395 per DS300. And as mentioned, this was noted for our CIP, and I did include the general ledger account, which is in our CIP account in Fund 16. Happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Is the county required to assist with purchase of
They
this
are
kind of
not.
equipment?
They are not. We're very fortunate. Not every municipality has that allowance to have the county fund half the equipment.
But when they switch their systems, you need to follow suit.
Yes, all municipalities within Jefferson County have the same equipment.
And then how long is the life on this one?
Life expectancy is 12, 13 years.
Okay.
It all depends on the use of them. We have 3 machines, so we kind of rotate them appropriately to make sure we're not using the same one every election. When you turn on the machine, there's a ballot count and then there's an administrative count. The administrative count is the number of ballots that machine has processed since it entered our building. So anytime we do public testing and every time we run elections, it adds all those ballots. So we can see how many ballots is counted over time.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I move to authorize the payment to Jefferson County for the purchase of DS300 ballot tabulators for elections at a cost not to exceed $10,185.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11B, review and possible action relating to the purchase of gymnasium floor coverings for elections. Clerk Everett again.
Thank you. So if you've ever seen our gymnasium floor, which was refinished to its current state in 1994 and cared for, it is very beautiful. It's probably one of the finer in our state, I would say. Thankful to our Park and Rec department who they take care of it. They wax it generally, or they clean it regularly. They wax it once a year. It's preserved quite well, maintaining the value of it, the safety and the appearance of it. Our gymnasium is used on a daily for regular basis. Every morning they have fitness classes. I believe tonight there was a Frisbee game that was going on, basketball, youth center, and then it's also used for private events for, prior they had, they always have the book sale. They had Smelt Fry many years prior. And then also they have youth center dances where they will put mats down. So the mats are over 20 years old. I believe they're 30 years old. They are very durable. However, they have certainly run their course. wrinkles that were added, I should say, wrinkles that were put into the mats when they were first laid out have stayed. Anytime we had, during COVID, when we put some duct tape on the floor to try to minimize space between everyone, the duct tape did not come easily, and if it did, it snagged it. So the duct tape is still there. Unfortunately, on election days, when the mats are walked on by thousands of people for several hours, they do get kind of snaggled up a little bit, and we do have trip and hazards. We especially sees it with voters that have walkers, or if they're not able to lift their feet too well when they're walking through. So just this past April 4th, 2025, we had a voter trip and fall and land on their knee pretty hard. They did have a couple minor scrapes. Staff was able to tend to them. And I'm updated by this voter, often wonderful person, and they don't blame us at all, but they're still dealing with some issues. And I knew at that time we need to really look into replacing these. So again, this was part of the idea that we had to include in our 2026 CIP budget, is to have some enhancements and improvements for our gym and for the process of elections. So we did reach out. We retained a quote from Practice Sports, which at that time, that was the only company that I had found that had mats of this. I did some other researching throughout the year, trying to find some other companies. And anytime I would think I found another vendor, I clicked the link for a quote and it would bring me back to Practice Sports. So as much as I tried to find something competitive, no avail, to no avail, we were not able to find that. So I will add that I included in the memo, we are able to apply, well, not directly apply. I'm going to start over. Our League of Wisconsin Municipality Mutual Insurance provides a safety grant to us annually every year. It is a percentage of our workers' comp premium. So, and then this past year, because the insurance has done so well, they did increase the safety grant that we were able to get. So while that won't directly offset, as those funds would be deposited to general fund, this is certainly something that we can use to request those funds being reimbursed to us. So included in the memo, I did note the full $25,000 that we have set aside for improvements, and then with the purchase of the machines and then the purchase of the mats, you see that there is a little bit of residual expenses that are not going to be used. However, we have no anticipation using those at that point, but should we want to upgrade some of our first aid supplies, it would be something that we would consider for this. Happy to answer any questions the council may have. The quote that we do have in front of us provides the gym floor covering. It does provide a storage rack, and unfortunately there is a shipping cost, as they would be coming from Nebraska, I believe. The storage rack is very useful because it aids in our park and rec crew laying the mats out and then rolling them up. There is a hand crank that will allow them to roll them back onto the rack a little more level than what they do now. Right now, as they start to roll it, it goes a little off center. So they do pull the mats back out and try to get them rolled back up. So it does a little bit lengthier of a process than they want. So they also reviewed, the crew reviewed the different materials that we got and kind of selected something that they feel would work best to protect our floor, but then also something that they can work with, and that would be safety provided for everyone to use the gym. Happy to answer any questions or any comments.
So the rack that you have right now that they use can't be modified to,
It's not, and it's not very safe, and it
Okay.
doesn't provide safety measures, I would say. So it's not the best use, and I think our insurance would agree that it's easy to be replaced. So yeah, it's kind of makeshift at this point. The rollers that they have the equipment on, and there's no way that they could use a crank for it. They have to manually, so as they roll it, it gets very heavy and it's really cumbersome.
okay, thank you. I move to approve the purchase of the gymnasium floor coverings for elections at a cost not to exceed $12,863.25.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 11C is review and possible action relating to the construction administration services fees for the 2025 water relay and road rehabilitation project. Director Neben.
February 2025, the city council approved task order 2503, which included an estimated cost for construction administration services associated with the 2025 water relay and road rehab project with Ruger Milky for $127,150.60. This work is now wrapping up and final costs have been tallied. Road construction projects require construction administration and oversight by the owner. In this case, the city of Fort Atkinson is the owner of this infrastructure. In the past, the city has used city staff, consultants, or a combination to accomplish this task. The city does not currently have the capacity or experience to effectively oversee construction projects.
Zach, can you turn your mic on?
How's that? There we go. All right. Did you hear me at all?
Yeah, yes, just for the Zoom. So I think you can just pick up where you
All
left
right.
off.
Due to the unforeseen circumstances that included within this project that were not included but not limited to design changes required by the Wisconsin DNR, additional staking work due to concerns raised by Ford Healthcare regarding the proposed sidewalk abutting their property, additional stormwater improvements for the city, which will be partially reimbursed by Ford Healthcare, project timeframe extensions that require Ruger and Milky staff to be on the job site for additional 2 weeks, and the Director of Public Works vacancy through the beginning of the project. Construction administration costs exceeded the estimated costs presented in the original task order. The initial estimate for the work was $127,150.60, and these items added up to a final cost of $189,887. The cost difference is $62,736.40, with $3,500 being reimbursed by Ford Healthcare. The cost overages will be split between water, storm, and sanitary utilities, as well as the transportation fund, Fund 5. The overall impacts of these additional charges for funds such as Fund 5 that are static means there will be $33,313 less work completed in future years to cover this cost. And then on the next page is on the memo is the breakdown of how that is broken out based on the percentages of each fund. So staff recommends the city council approve the final cost for construction administration for the 2025 water main and road rehab project of $189,887. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Can you tell us a little bit about the design changes that were required by the DNR?
Yeah, there was a couple of water design changes that were required. We had to move some hydrants around based on some design requirements they wanted to see, which is typically impacted by keeping distances from maybe a sanitary sewer or other utilities of that nature.
I have a question. I've seen a handful of these like construction administration. I guess sometimes maybe it's more than one person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like maybe it's not feasible to actually hire people from the city because you maybe have to hire 3 or 4 and they may not even be busy all the year long. Is this still like what you would believe the most economical method for these projects?
Yes, at this time I do believe that is the most economical. Like you mentioned, it does take more than one person. With a contracted engineering service, we are getting an entire team, right? So I can call our contracted engineer and have something turned around in a day or two's time, where it would take, if we had this individual on staff, it might take them a week because it's just them. So at this time, this is
Probably
definitely
the skill set they would bring, like you have someone who's maybe an expert in electrical, water,
correct. Yeah.
infrastructure, et cetera. Whereas like you'd have to hire 3 or 4 different people to
Absolutely.
have that skill set. And okay.
You nailed it.
And then we typically do, 1 or 2 projects a year and they typically overlap. So, I mean, it's not efficient to hire city staff to do those types of jobs.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is something previously when we had a actual city engineer position filled, that they kind of oversaw this more so, correct?
And there was, yes, and there was also, when we had a city engineer and an assistant city engineer, for that short period of time when both of those positions were full, we did have some capability to do construction administration. But it is a full-time job, which means that if we had a city engineer on staff, even if we assigned that person to construction administration, they wouldn't be doing all the other jobs that we expect our folks to do.
And actually, I had just reached out to a surrounding municipality that had an engineering tech position out for hire. They received one application from an individual that had no qualifications. So that market is a tough one at the moment.
Which is consistent with our experience in advertising for both the assistant city engineer and the city engineer positions over the last several years.
I move to approve the final cost for construction administration for the 2025 main and roadway rehabilitation project of $189,887.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 11D is review and possible action relating to the contract for construction administrative services with MSA for the 2026 South Main Street pedestrian path project. Director Navin again.
Thank you. On March 5th, 2024, the City Council approved a contract for the design of the South Main Street pedestrian path and road reconstruction work for 2026 with MSA Professional Services, Inc. The design has been completed and the project bid out for construction. The city awarded the construction contract to Rock Road Companies, Inc. on September 16th, 2025, in the amount of $2,723,030.50. And as stated, this is something that the city is required to do for construction administration as the owner of the project. As discussed earlier in this agenda, the city's interim engineer and their firm Rupert Milkie have been awarded the construction administration contract from previous years. This is partially due to Rupert Milkie being awarded the design work as well and being the contracted engineer. It's both efficient and cost-effective to retain services of the design engineering firm to oversee the construction of the project. Therefore, staff has asked MSA Professional Services, Inc. to provide an estimate for construction oversight of the 2026 work that they had designed. MSA Professional Services submitted the attached amendment for construction administration services in the amount of $155,000, which has been included in the estimate for the overall cost of the 2026 South Main pedestrian path and roadway reconstruction project. Staff intend to use 4 accounts for funding the project at the same percentages outlined in the table below for the cost of construction administration and oversight. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the attached amendment number 2 for $155,000 with MSA Professional Services, Inc. for construction administration for the 2026 South Main Street pedestrian path and road reconstruction project and authorize the city manager to execute.
Less chance of the DNR messing with this one.
I'd like to think now that we have the people in the chairs, we can get ahead of it at least, right? So we did that this fall. We got everybody, city staff as well as MSA out on South Main. We walked the entire project to try to get ahead of as many of the changes that might come our way, so we see less of these exciting pieces.
I move to approve the contract for construction administration services with MSA for the 2026 South Main Street pedestrian path project at a cost not to exceed $155,000 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11E, review and possible action relating to the police department squad car purchase, equipment and upfitting for order for 2026. Please, see, we don't have cheap bump for you.
He's here, but I'm going to present. So I am Daniel Hefty. I'm the patrol captain for Fort Atkinson Police Department. One of my duties is to manage the fleet, so I'm going to present tonight. So tonight I'm seeking approval to initiate squad car and equipment order for 2026. We are set to replace one vehicle this year. The funds were established in the 2026 budget in the amount of $71,500. It would be for one 2026 Ford Interceptor SUV. Bids were received from Ewald Ford and Griffin Ford. Our agency utilizes 1033 vehicle services for all of our squad upfitting needs. They have been doing all of our vehicles for as long as I can remember. We also have to get a GenCom radio, so there's a bid in for that as well. So the reason to get ahead of this is there's limited quantities of squad cars available in 2026. So we like to get our order in before 2026, knowing it won't be delivered until 2026 with payment not due until delivery. So all the order would be done before, but all the payment and receipt would be after. So we got two different bids for squad cars, one from Ewald, which has awarded the state's contract, so they're guaranteed the lowest price for the same vehicle. We also get a bid from Griffin Ford. Those bids, Griffin Ford's bid was about $190 more, but we're still going to try and ask to go through Griffin just to stay low. The upfitting for the squad, which means laying it out with all the equipment and making it patrol ready, was quoted at $22,885.88. The Kenwood mobile radio was quoted through GenCom at $3,127.89. We only got one bid for the radio because GenCom does all of the city's communication needs, all the radios everywhere for the city. So I would like to move forward and obtain final approval from the city council to execute the order through Griffin Ford for one new squad car. The purchase through Griffin is $194 above the lowest quote. However, we feel the benefit to local business and community is important. I'm also looking forward for approval to move forward and order the additional equipment, complete the entire squad transition process with the budgeted funds, knowing no purchases, equipment, or acquisitions or spending will occur until after January 1 of 2026. These funds from the outlay account from the squad and equipment will not exceed the 71,500 CIP budgeted amount. So I'm open for any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
On the Ewald quote, it lists it was a hybrid, which I assume less fuel costs over the life of the vehicle. I'm not sure I quite saw that same detail called out on the Griffin Ford quote.
They should be the same squad. They should be identical
Okay.
squads.
Would this be our first hybrid police interceptor for the city of Fort Atkinson?
I believe so. I don't think we have another hybrid. This one will actually, I should add on, this one will replace a 2015 Chevy Impala. So we get, usually about 10 years of service out of each of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Non-hybrid. Sorry, non-hybrid.
Okay, so this would be the first? Okay.
No, these are non-hybrid vehicles.
I don't know that we have a kind of set amount of when it makes sense to go with a local bidder, but it seems like $194 is within that comfort zone.
Yeah, that was our thought as well.
Okay. It just my comment. The reason why I brought that up was on page 86 of the packet, it says 3.3 liter V6 direct injection hybrid system. Which is why that's what generated my question. So
I understand.
I agree with Councilmember Lesko here. The $194 is very minimal to, I think, any of us, if you're really shopping for a car, that local service to have it right here in town.
Yes, I agree.
I've seen enough times that, the city's running down there to get parts for vehicles, so it's nice to have that relationship with them.
It is.
And it's still under budget.
That's right.
I move to approve the purchase of a new squad car from Griffin Ford for $45,269 from Griffin Ford and to approve the purchase of additional equipment at a cost not to exceed $26,013.77 to complete the entire squad car transition process.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 11F, review and possible action relating to the repair of fire department heating and ventilation system at a cost not to exceed $9,865. Fire Chief Peterson.
Good evening. As I laid out in my staff report, the fire department station's HVAC system has been experiencing ongoing issues for an extended period of time, certainly since I've been there. Our staff has been making as many adjustments and temporary fixes as possible, although the system certainly is becoming increasingly unreliable, shutting down on a daily basis at this point and leaving the living areas and the administrative areas with no heat until reset. We had been talking with Ahern's and finally brought them out to look at the system, and they found a multitude of issues, including a failing inverter board, failing compressor, and a refrigerant leak within the entire system. So they quoted a repair of $9,865 to address the inverter board, compressor, and to find and fix the refrigerant leak. We also discussed a annual maintenance plan with them, which hasn't been done, although that was quoted at $7,250, which seems like an exorbitant amount, although I'll give you the backstory on it. This was a system recommended by the contractor when the station was rebuilt. And in order to maintain that Energy Star compliance, they went with an electric system that ran off mainly our solar panels. It's meant to be a rooftop system. It was put in our loft area, which doesn't have a lot of great circulation and overheats during the summer. So it's been stressing the system. The system's meant, it's very complicated, but it's meant to have 4 different zones. When it was designed and installed, they put in 16 different zones. So it's being stressed at all levels of our building, and certainly in the summer with the heat and poor ventilation up there, that's why we're getting the leaks. Some mildews is starting to show in that area, and we're seeing the failure of the circuit boards and some of the electronics. So it's a very frustrating issue that we've been dealing with for quite a while. So we're recommending that you approve the $9,865 from Ahern's for the repair. My recommendation is to hold off on the preventative maintenance, primarily because the way the system is, it's up in the ceiling tiles, and the whole ceiling almost has to be brought down. And they're looking at about 8 hours worth of work for 10 different units to be able to get at them to do the PMs. So that's why we get this exorbitant annual maintenance cost. So I'm recommending that we do the repair. I'm told that it should buy us another 3 to 4 years. And there's some other things we can do to cool the unit during the summer until we can kind of take more of a comprehensive look at the whole HVAC system and find a better solution for the future.
So how long has this system been in?
Since the building was rebuilt, so which is about
What was that?
8 years or so.
It was 2021 when the project was complete, but I think it did start in 2019.
Well, thanks to you and your crew for making
Yeah.
do as long as you could. With that, I would move to approve the proposal from Ahern to repair the fire department's HVAC system at a cost not to exceed $9,865.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 13, public comment for matters not on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following for the record when called upon: name, address, and subject matter. No action will be taken on any public comments. Note for those on the hybrid or Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand as a chat box not monitored, and those on there must remain muted. We had Mr. House signed up.
Good evening, John House, 104 Jefferson Street in Fort. I'm going to jump ahead to tomorrow night's meeting. And I'm kind of looking at the packet that I was given or the information. Why is it only allowed for 1 question per person? I think that is absolutely stunning. As far as the subdivision, that has been nothing short of a money pit and a nightmare. That thing started out, Ramesh Shah and I had a meeting with the DNR. He was in violation of the first step in that thing right away. He got fined double from what he should have. He also tiled that property so it would pass. And that year we were in one of the worst droughts we've ever had. And so they passed it because of that, which, believe it or not, we're in a drought condition right now. The Rock River is the lowest I've ever seen it in my 70 years of being able to comprehend it. I noticed in that packet that Graph did their survey on it, and there's a few years missing, and two of them are flood years. Now, gee, why are those gone? I have reached out to the DNR and NOAA. I'm going to have some information why that shouldn't be built on. I guess, and then the next question I have is, who are the injured parties out there? I see they're talking about moving 3 houses. Which houses? I feel I've been injured too, because never had maintenance done on that overflow pond. And unfortunately, with my new knee, I haven't been able to bring any of that debris into the meetings. So I guess we'll see you tomorrow night, and we'll try to get as many questions together with as many people as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. First call for anyone on Zoom wishing to speak. Second call. Close public comment. Item 14, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. 14A is review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment.
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilman Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko.
Aye.
Councilman Schultz,
Aye.
President Jekyll.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 15, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.